My turn? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this is what we do the music panel for the musicians Q&A.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Any of you guys got like introductions and such?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm TeiThePony, I'm a chiptune. Yeah, I'm Blaze, also known as Wooden Toaster.
Is this on? Okay. I'm Sketchy Sounds. I'm regularly seen on Air Free Radio. I do acoustic music and stuff.
And last but not least, I'm TeiThePony, who makes trance and keeps kind of remix.
So should we get straight to it then? Let's start with the questions.
Hi, before you got into Pony, was music, did you do music before getting into Pony, or was it just like as soon as you got into Brony you started doing music?
This is too.
Everyone, sorry.
Yeah, I origin from fandom, but I'm not quite sure how I found it, but I've been using for nearly 2 years now.
Yeah, before Ponies, I made music for about 3 years before the first video on YouTube. So I first got into music after listening to Renard's stuff. He recommended like FL Studio. I just picked up that and goofed around in it.
For me, music's been something I've done most of my life. I've known how to play guitar since I was like about 6. I've been playing drums since I was roughly 11. So music's always been a big part of my life. Although I would certainly say I never was making as much music, not as like far into it, not making as much as I do now. Certainly when Pony came along and I first started going to rap, that was really the thing, that was really the biggest catalyst for me getting into making a lot more music, and music specifically Pony related, because I suppose you could say that kind of reawakened in me a kind of creative spark. Because up until then, I kind of been in a rut that being like, there's nothing really I feel like making music for, and then this came along, I was like, what is that? So I was like, yeah, this, I can really get on board with that, I can really take something from that and do something with it.
Nice long descriptive answer. It's a shame.
I am a bit long-winded, I'm sorry guys, you're going to have to get used to that.
I did music before I came to Brony. I had a 7-year break, World of Warcraft break. But before that, when Fruity Loops came out, I still say Fruity Loops. Like Fruity Loops 1 and 2, I started producing hardcore and gabber music because it's really easy to do it in Fruity Loops. You just put dishwashers and everywhere, done, there's a track. But between the time of 7 years, I did some beatboxing, so on, but no, I never recorded. One night he told me like get a Fruity Loops once more, and I just got in and started making music again. So that's my music story.
Right, now you obviously have your own respective styles of music. What drew you to them? Like, for instance, there's more acoustic stuff.
Yep, I do. For me, I think chiptunes, like a lot of people instantly associate that with like video games. It all sounds like Mario, it all sounds like Pokemon. So I think a lot of people compare my stuff to Mega Man music, like the classic series on the NES, which is fair. I like that series quite a lot, maybe a bit too much. So it was mainly that. Another thing I found like more recently though was Tim Follett, who's a very good chiptune. He did the music for, I think he's most well known for like a Silver Surfer game on the NES, infamous for its difficulty, discussing big music. And so it's a couple of R's, I think. So the main was that, and now I'm like in a chiptuner community, so I'm continuing to find more people who can draw inspiration from, and use that, use techniques from that in my work.
Yeah, and when I started out, Renard was like a really big idol for me, so I was inspired by a lot of his earlier work. It was sort of like vocal-inspired orchestral electronic stuff. That's the sort of style I drove towards. But it's only recently that I've actually tried going for that style. Before, it was a lot slower music, more ambient sort of electronic stuff. But what's my train of thought? Where I'm going with this? It was only at the start of when I started doing Brony music when I drove towards that kind of style. So,
For me, acoustic has always been something. It's always been an interest of mine. It's always been my main taste in music. The kind of music I tended to listen to all when I've been growing up has been like a mix of classic rock, folk music, and all kinds of other stuff. So I've always tended towards, I like the sound of a nice finger plucking style on guitar, that sort of thing. You know, that nice intricate series of notes, that kind of thing I really, really like. So that's influenced the way I tend to play when I play my guitar as well. I tend to do that kind of thing. It's always been something I've been fond of, and also, you know, a nice mellow voice on top of that kind of thing I really love. So that would be my main influence there towards style.
The way I got into it is I listened to a lot of trance music, a lot of Dutch trance music, and they had a style, I can't remember when, it was I think late 90s, that they used glitched vocals, like chop them up and put them in different separate sections. And so I thought like maybe I could do something with that, but still not make as the 90s sound that it used to be, even though 90s was really good music. And I wanted to have like dubstep kind of a beat, like more melodic dubstep, because to be honest, I suck making vocals. I just can't do it. I don't know how these guys do it, but I just can't. But yeah, then I like put the dubstep beat to it, put some trance leads, because I love trance music. And then glitch started to happen. Like I started forming melodies with the syllables that I caught with the glitching kind of stuff. I was like, well, I'm thinking how I do it, because the question is how did I get into it? Well, yeah, basically my influences was like GDD Agnostico, but with the song of Blah Blah Blah, if you know about it. It's a really good song. Or Living It Another Way, all like early 200s. I don't know the centuries anymore. But yeah, those like early trance kind of things where they started using vocals as an instrumental, those would be my biggest influences.
What other Brony musicians do you like the most or draw inspiration from?
I could be boring and say like please. I think it's Keel's 6969. I like him. No one's heard of him, but he's definitely a good musician. He makes chip tunes as well. They're all sort of like Toho-ish, Japanese RPG sort of things. They're all really good. Like lots of moving melodies you can make that just like keep going on and on, don't repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, which is good. Another one come to mind. It doesn't come to mind.
It could be really boring and say Renard, considering he's done a few Brony songs as well, but Tombstone is a big influence because it's just the speed he works is really inspiring to me. Like I cannot work that fast. Well, I can, but I lose like inspiration. I don't get inspiration that fast as he does. And same with General Mumble. Usually there's songs like, what, every 2 days? Yeah. I'm done.
So it was a question, what is it you like about Brony musicians, or which Brony musicians do you like?
Which one's your favourite?
Which ones are my favourite? Right, okay. In my case then, I'm going to have to definitely say TeiThePony, because who doesn't love TeiThePony, okay? He's fantastic, and it's not just his music, but the guy himself is really, like, he has like a heart of gold, honestly. He never wants to let anyone down, and that is a big inspiration to me in terms of his personality, but also the way he does his music. I love the fact that he's got like such lovely clear vocals, and he has an amazing voice as well, and the way he plays and everything, it's like, first time I heard his stuff, it's like, why is this guy not like doing this professionally? You know, why is he not being picked up by a record label? And why is he not, you know, already doing this kind of stuff? You know, why is he not in the charts? Why am I not hearing him do this kind of thing? And it's because it's, you know, it's so easy for people to get overlooked. But yeah, TeiThePony definitely, and I gotta go shout out to Goose and Brony as well. I love the way they do things as well. They're fantastic people, I love them. Tombstone as well, Living Tombstone. He's not so much like an influence on me, but he's one of my favourite people in the music community because he's an absolute laugh. So, he's a fantastic guy. Can't think of any others off the top of my head, although I'm sure at some point these guys around me are going to end up on my list of people I really like in the music community. So.
My favourites, I actually have like different categories that I put like favourite list. But one of my most favourite one is General Mumble, just because General Mumble was the first one that I actually started listening to like more than one track and said like, oh, this is good. But I started like listening to more his stuff. And, oh God. And then there's this guy. He's a really small artist called Soaring Flight. He has only done a couple of tracks. I think 2 or 3 tracks currently, but he was one of the first trance guys I found from the community, and the way that he delivers trance music is so really calming and soothing, really uplifting, as if you were gonna listen to it on a beach or somewhere, or flying up in the sky. It's really calming. And one guy also that I like is Prince Whatever. It goes on. And because I just love his voice talent. He does this screamo kind of stuff, but he can also sing clean, and the stuff that he does, oh God, I just love it.
Hi, I'd like to say, Sketchy, you were an influence to me to start playing the guitar, along with TeiThePony and acoustic Brony. Can you give me any tips for just starting out on the acoustic guitar? Anything at all?
Starting out with which, sorry?
Acoustic guitar.
How do you mean?
String guitar, I just started about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
some tips.
Main tip I would give you, if you've not been playing guitar long, is do not try to do too much at once. Also, a very big tip I would give you is the type of guitar that you should go for if you've never played before and you want to do acoustic. Do not buy like a steel-strung acoustic straight off the bat, because if you do, you will ruin your fingers. I'm not making that up. Basically, if you go for classical instead, they have softer strings because they're strung with nylon and copper instead. I think it's copper anyway. That's a lot easier on your fingers. Also, the frets are wider, so you can much more easily fret the chords. Once you've gotten the hang of that, and when you can do some good stuff on that, then I would say you might want to try getting an actual steel-strung acoustic. The frets are slightly narrower than that, the strings are slightly closer together, but it's a much more clearer sound. It carries easier on its own, and it's got a different timbre to it. So once you've really gotten the hang of the classical, then I would say move on to one of those. Another thing I would say, do not try to do too many chords at once. Also do not be discouraged if you cannot fret certain chords at once, like straight off the bat. For example, the C chord is very, very difficult to do. You're basically having to do that with your fingers. You have to stretch them a long way. And the chord that is the nightmare of every guitarist is the F chord. I'm sure any other guitarist in the audience can agree with me there. This is an absolute nightmare to do because you have to put your index finger over 2 strings. You will kill your finger when you try this for the first time. It will sound horrible. The main thing I would say, practice makes perfect. So don't give up. If it doesn't sound great straight away, just keep at it.
Can't reach it. Alright, this one's for Windtoaster and Interrobang Pipe. Windtoaster, a lot of your songs with vocals in usually use some kind of synthesization. Have you ever thought about actually doing clean vocals with no synth or anything? And for Interrobang Pipe, as far as I know, only one of your songs actually has vocals. Do you think you have any other songs with vocals in anytime soon?
The thing is about my singing, my clean vocals, I'm not that confident with my own voice, and I sort of like, when I have my clean vocal track in the song, then I just sort of tinker with it and think like, what would it sound like with this? And then I end up liking that more than the clean. So it just sort of builds up until I've completely destroyed the vocal track. I end up sticking with it. So. I mean, I do have a song, a collab with two right now that does use my clean vocals, so I'm not going to say like when that's out because it would take forever, but I do have plans to do that, yeah.
As for me, what I ever do is another song with vocals in, no. Because the song that does have vocals in is a long old aim joke, which I released like many months later after it had actually been done for the first time. So that's just
Hello. How long does usually making or remixing a song take, and what gives you inspiration to do this?
Oh, is that for all of us?
It differs. For example, my remix of This Day Area took about a day. Sorry. No, that took about a day. I heard the song and just started working like I'm gonna remix this and did it. But many others could take forever, just like building up on it or just leaving it for ages and then I better come back and finish this. That was a thing that happened with Pipsqueak Thunder. And even I've got one song that's finished actually, and I just haven't released it yet because I just don't want to release it yet. So it's taken forever.
Release it.
Yeah, it varies a lot. Beyond the Garden took around about 4 hours, whereas Fruitful Labour that took around 20. So it was it's also down to procrastination. I do that a lot in my music, and it's also down to when I make music, I tend to listen to it more than I spend working on it. So that can bump the amount of time I work on it up about 6 hours or something, just me listening to it. Because I do enjoy the music I make, so I do listen to it over and over again. I don't know if anyone else enjoys their own music, but I do tend to enjoy it. So yeah, it can vary from really short to really long. Just
pretty much a ditto to what Blaze was said. For me, sometimes I am hit by inspiration and I'm just like, I'm going to do this song, I'm going to record this, I'm going to do this, I will just record this, we'll record this audio track, I'll lay down these vocals, it'll all be perfect in one go, and sometimes it is, very rarely, it is perfect straight off. Sometimes it's not perfect straight off, but most of the time, for me, it can take a very long time to put something together, simply because, for one thing, I have to find the motivation to do it, which can be very difficult at times, and for another, if it's not perfect the first time I record it, or if it's not quite right the first time I do it, I then have to re-record that section, or sometimes re-record the whole thing, which can get very frustrating very fast. So for me, it can take several hours to record it, and then circle more to get it sounding just as I want it, because even once I've recorded it, it then takes me ages to then adjust all the levels and everything and make it sound just exactly as I want it. I'm horrible with that because I'm such a perfectionist that I don't want to release it unless it sounds absolutely right. But I've then got the dilemma of, you know, I have to make do with releasing something that maybe doesn't sound absolutely perfect, because if I don't, I'm not going to get it released. This is the dilemma that everyone faces that does music, I think.
It varies from song to song. Some songs I can like finish up within one day. Like I just get good inspiration what I want to do, and then I just do it, and suddenly the song's finished. But most of my new tracks, which goes through a process that I do palettes. I just do a palette of, like, let's say I do a chorus, then I do a verse one, then I do another chorus, and they're not even put together, and I just set it to MP3, listen at work. Like I have 8 hours of work where I listen to just music, and from that, if I find like I need to do something with this drop, I need to do something with this kind of thing. Nah, these volume levels are too high on that one. Then I just go home, redo it again, and until I get to a point where I listen all from my palettes, say, oh, these are good. Then I just start to making this song together. I put the intro and the intro section, then the chorus and everything there. But that's the newest bit. Just like my Twilight and Stockings, the song actually, I created the preview of it on March, but like a month ago I just released it because I had to, I just let it go there. Like I had it all finished, almost all finished, but when time came on, and I just wanted to add new things to it. I changed the mastering wallet, and so it just started piling up, and eventually I was happy enough for it, so I released it.
Just before we continue, I just have to let you know we've got 5 minutes left, so 1 or 2 questions left. Make the questions excellent.
Okay, this question is relevant to those who have used MIDI keyboards or controllers in their setups, and I'm kind of a virgin to the whole thing because I have a very basic setup. What would be a very perfect setup for a MIDI keyboard or controller?
Depends on what you want to do with it.
For me, okay. For me, I'm kind of a multi-genre Brony musician who's just starting out, and I was thinking of a setup which can be set up for whenever I have like a live performance, as you wish.
Right, so you're essentially just wanting to use it to play something?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the best advice I could give you there is simply to have your keyboard plugged directly in, either through an interface or via USB. If you plug it directly in through a MIDI port, then it's going to lag. The other thing I would say is, well, make sure you have some good software to use it with, and...
Oh, I've got Ableton with a few VSTs.
Okay, that's...
And also, as for the speakers, what would be a much better setup? Would I use something like monitor speakers, or would I use large speakers?
I wouldn't know about that myself. I'm not so knowledgeable on that subject. What about you guys?
I only use like a set of like really small Logitech speakers, so I can't really comment on that either.
Oh, I've got Behringer MS-20s, or 40s rather, I think.
Last one then, guys? Got it, Spider.
Hey.
Did someone say Spider-Man?
Yeah, I was wondering if any of you are going to release any albums anytime, like mainly non-Pony related or whatever.
If we've released any non-Pony related?
So if you're going to release any albums at some point.
For Steve.
Alright, so I can throw my money at you.
If I said yes, I'm going to, I'm afraid I might be lying, because I might not. But if I said no, I might also be lying, because I might have one in the works.
He cannot confirm or deny it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at working on albums. I can't really stick to a single field that well, or I try to like switch my style up as much as I can during something. So it takes ages to release new songs. I can't say that I'm specifically working on an album, but I might put stuff together, remaster stuff, older stuff in the future, but I'm not planning on one.
I am. It's a simple answer I will give. I am planning to put together an album. I already have some songs I would like to put on one. I don't know when I'll have when I will have a whole lot of songs put together that I will actually, have as an album. But yes, I do want to do one. I want to have an album out there at some point. Don't know when it'll be, but I am definitely going to do one.
I'm not entirely sure. I had like an idea of releasing a EP, not an entire album, because that would require so much music. Wow. Anyway, and so I thought of an EP of like all the main 6 characters. Make a like trance songs or click songs, all the 6 main characters, and then release it. But I'm a bit iffy on selling on my music because I wouldn't generally buy it myself. So I'm probably gonna do either a media file or a torrent release on it. So you can just get it for free and just call it an album or EP, and that's it. I'm probably gonna, but don't handle my words. I might like say, no, I'm just not gonna release it. I'm just gonna release it. But I probably, maybe.
Something you would know.
Yeah, I'm allowed to say that.
One more question.
So, do you make any collaboration, and if you do, how do you find a musician to work with?
How do we find it to work with other musicians for collaboration?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have done a few myself, so I suppose I can comment on that. I have actually collaborated with a couple of guys that are in this audience, that would be Perfectionism and Vixlo, who are sat right there. It is a lot of fun to work with other musicians, being able to bounce ideas off them, and also finding a common theme to work from. And when you put together a song and finding common ground that you can both enjoy and one whole thing that you can put together, it is a lot of fun, and also being able to work with someone else who has got like a lot of talent. When you're able to find someone else who understands what you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to put together, there's nothing more rewarding than that, and hearing the finished result is an absolutely amazing thing. I also do actually, I have collaborated quite often on my live show with the chairman of this very convention, the gentleman with the brightly dyed pink hair, who you've no doubt run into every so often. But yeah, he brings along his cello every so often to my stream. Dare say most of you didn't know he was a cellist, but he is, and that is an awful lot of fun. So yeah, collaboration is great fun to do. If you ever find yourself the opportunity to do it. Could be nice and flash for that.
Yeah, I've collaborated with General Mumble a couple of times. Mainly, seems to be like we get in a Skype call and we just talk, oh, we should add this in. Oh no, we shouldn't. I'm going to change this. No, let's add this in. And so on and so forth. We just pass it back and forth like tennis, and then we finish and we're happy with it. Then we release it. But soon I will be working with the Living Tombstone on Cloud. And he says he does that a different way. So, people work in different ways. So if you work with different people, you might find different ways to work together. That's
yeah, like with the Living Tombstone, the way we collab is he generally writes the chord progression of the song and the lyrics, and then I produce the instrumental from. With other ones, it's like with Hate Seed, it was just we both had the same version of FL Studio, so we just bounced the project back and forth. I find that gets really messy, like you both have different work styles, so it can tends to clash. Like you're not really sure what they're trying to do with a certain thing, and in the same way, you can learn a lot from that. You can learn different, better ways to work in the same program. And other ways is me and Storm, we just pass loops back and forth to each other and constructed them together until we had a song. But I'm going to say opposite to Sketchy, but don't say you're going to collab with too many people, because I've got so many people I should be collabing with, but like lots works in progress, but I just can't work on all of them at the same time.
That would have been a corollary I would have
I mean, it's really fun to work with people, but it's not fun to work with me, because I'm always the one that's not doing the work. So
the way that I don't only do collaborations, one was with the ADS to Chronify, and the second one was with the H-Mage. And the way that I did it was basically I had an idea. At first, I wanted to, when I was doing when I did the End of Loyalty, I had the core idea of it, a bit few of the instrumentals, and I talked to ADS like, would you want to sing on the track for me? And he was like, okay with it. And also, he wanted to actually do something with the instrumental. But I pushed the whole freaking instrumental to his hands, and he had the whole Dawn version within like a couple of days, and I had to wait for like a month or two until I could get the vocals out from it, and then he said like, oh, well, I don't want to put anything on the instrumental. So the way I work is basically, I throw the basic idea to a person that I collaboration with, and they have their own idea of what they want to do in it. And from that, we started working on different kind of stuff, but if the guy's not responding to me in a couple of months, I start working on the project myself and then send it like, is this good enough? Do you want to add something to it? And then they add something to it. Like, Brony added the guitar solo for the End of Loyalty, which was really freaking sweet. And I know that guy, really. And the H-Mage one was basically, I tuned into his live stream. He was playing with his Diva VST plugin with all these fancy strings and kind of stuff. And instantly I fell in love with it. And I told him, record these few chord progressions and send them to me. So he did. And within a day we had like half the song ready. Then we just started adding small bits to it. But basically I do only collaborations, I do the big part of like trying to construct the whole idea of it. And they just like fine tune it, tweak it, put more instruments to it, and that's it. That's how I work. That's how I roll.
Brilliant. Okay, give it up for the Brony musicians.
If you have any further questions, I've just been instructed by Lavender that you can join them at the upstairs in the circle foyer, I think it's circle foyer, for the music workshop, which will be at 3 o'clock. You'll be joined with Lavender, Glaze and Marble. Okay? So anyone who has any further questions regarding like technical stuff, be there. Okay, thank you very much guys.